Everybody. Today's video is on how to highlight to transition my silver hair. Highlighting is my favorite way to transition clients out of their color and into their silver hair. I've talked to you guys before about Jack Martin on Instagram. He does the whole day process, which I love. It's beautiful. Wow, it looks amazing on people. There's only one thing I don't like about that process. For most people, they don't have access to it, so that's, of course, I wouldn't like that. Financially, a lot of people may not be able to afford that. But there's one other part of the service that is also an issue for me as a stylist. It's a lot of chemicals on the hair. If you were a light-haired client, not a big deal. But if you were a dark-haired client that we took into this, we had to put a lot of chemicals on your hair. And what that means for you when you go home is we're gonna need you to take care of it really, really good. And if you don't, it's gonna lead to a lot of breakage. And the toning, that beautiful silver tone, it has to constantly get redone. Because once we put your hair through all that, it has a hard time holding on to that toning. So while I do love it, it comes with caution. I really love it more for my blondes, and that's about it. Maybe some of my light redheads, but my brunettes and my deep reds, it's not a service I recommend for you. But for everybody, blondes, redheads, brunettes, highlighting is my favorite thing to get you into the transition. My second favorite thing is direct dyes, and I have a video on that. Watch that one. That'll help you do something different. It's a different service, not different service, it's a different way of transitioning. But today I want to focus on the highlighting, especially for the brunettes and the redheads that have the really hard line. So you're completely white here, and then it's a hard line. If you're that person, what I want you to do, or your stylist to do, is you're going to get in there, and it's super important that you create a halo of lightness. And one thing that is so hard about all of these explanations and ideas is until you see it on yourself visually, it's sometimes very, very difficult. So I'm going to work on finding myself some models that I can put a picture here to show you, but just looking at Jack Martin's Instagram page will give you an idea of just moving into silver hair will help. Now his is the whole head, but even just doing a little bit helps a lot. And I will be showing you my personal pictures. Unfortunately, when I transitioned, I didn't know I would be doing this years later. So only have a few pictures of my transition, but luckily, I do have a few. So the first thing I want you to know is me as a brunette. I went from a brunette, and all I did, you could see I have these dramatic white streaks right here. But now that it's all grown out, it looks very silver, correct? But when you saw my brunette hair, you didn't see all this. This all just looked like a warm brown color. And these streaks up here just looked like a lighter brown version. So what I did to transition, and this is what you need to do, is focus the highlighting on wherever you see dramatic white. So if you're like me, where I have these two dramatic white spots, I highlight it here. If you're that person that it's a halo of white and then all solid red or all solid brown, what I want you to do is focus on this area of highlighting, not all underneath here, because no one's ever gonna see this. Focus on what can be seen. So that means you need a heavy highlight off of this line that you see all around here. And then when you pull your hair back, if this is a heavy line, again, I want them to heavy highlight right off of this line. back all through here, nothing. You don't need anything. If you want, you can, and it will be more like the Jack Martin looks, but it's not necessary. And I know you're wondering, hopefully my hair's not looking too crazy right now. I know you're wondering, how will that blend? I don't see how that will blend. I promise you, it's going to blend. You just have to trust and have a little faith on this one. It will blend. I don't care if you're a redhead, a brunette, or a blonde. The technique is all the same. The only thing that needs to change is the placement of the highlights. If you're solidly white, I want a lot off of this round white donut that you see. If you have bangs, and the center part is here, and the round white is right here, this is where I want those highlights to be focused. If you're like me, where you have obvious streaks, I want them putting the highlights in those obvious streaks. The next thing I want is, do not touch the new growth. The highlight is from the line down. For me, I did it right away, so I didn't have a big outgrowth. I knew I was going to do it, and that's another one. You don't need a big outgrowth, or if you have a big outgrowth, it's still okay. Either case, it will be fine. So I did just my streaks right here. When you take we need to lighten all the way to yellow. I'm going to show you what that looks like. You super dark brunettes, you super dark redheads, they may not be able to get you light enough. If that happens, then they need to put it to a ash blonde, completely ash out that color, because it is going to get lighter, but it's going to get stuck in orange. I can tell you both, redhead or my brunettes, if they're not able to get you to yellow, they're going to get stuck at orange. You're going to need to put a level 6 ash on that orange. And I know you're thinking, how is that going to look with my red hair? It's going to look great. Is it going to be the answer and the overall solution and look like Jack Martin from Instagram? No, it's not. It's a blending. All it's going to do is take that obvious line and make it not so obvious. Now, let's say they are able to get it all the way to yellow. This is the money spot, I call it. That's what you want. If you can get your hair to yellow, you are home free on your transition. You're going to wash that highlight out. They're going to tone it. I want you to tone it with a direct dye that will tone your hair to silver. It will be healthy, it will be gorgeous, and it will blend immediately. You will never have to do another highlight. You only need one highlight on the onset. Once they break up that area, either here, or like me, the streaks, it's the only time you ever have to do it. From then on, when the highlight fades and it goes back to the yellow, go back and put your silver back on. And if you put your silver on your whole head, it's going to tone down all the warmth that we create from putting hair color on our hair. If your hair is jet black, don't bother. But wherever the hair is yellow, put the silver toner back on the hair when it fades. That's all you need to do to get out of those hard lines. Highlighting, highlighting, highlighting. I cannot say it enough. I love it to transition my clients. Very simple. I'm going to do a video on how to do the very front yourself. Because for some people, you either just have the very front like me that is very dominant, or it is what we call in hair, we call it the money piece. When you look at blondes that have what's called an ombre highlight, where it's all dark up here, but they have a lot of lightness down here, we always put what's called the money piece in the front. We always put a super bright highlight right around the front. That's what you need, no matter who you are. Whether you're this person like me, with just the streaks, the solid woman, the redhead, if you do nothing else, just break up the front. That in itself will help you get through some hard transitions. But remember, it needs to be in the front. I have seen some people show their pictures. They went to their stylist and they did it, especially somebody like me where I don't have a bang and the highlights, the money piece is right here. It's not going to show. The money piece needs to be right here up front. If you have bangs, I want to see the money piece I want to see sparkly bangs. If you don't have bangs, I want to see some bright streak, not some little teeny spaghetti piece in the front. It needs to be domination. Dominate the front with some brightness, because that's where you're headed. That's what silver hair looks like. It's brighter than what you've been coloring your hair. Even if you're blonde, shockingly, blonde is darker than silver. So no matter if you're a blonde, a redhead, or a brunette, we need to lighten you. That's the answer to transitioning. Lighten the front or lighten the whole thing and tone it to silver. All right, that's my highlighting video. I hope it helps. I'm going to post another video on how to do it yourself, because I have a thing. We're not all meant to be tall. We're not all meant to be small. I know some people would never touch their own hair. That's okay. But guess what? There are people who have some hair skills and they can do it themselves. I did this myself. Sure, I have hair skills, but this technique that I did in the front, it's something you can do yourself. It's not a difficult thing to do. I wouldn't teach people how to highlight the back. It's too hard. But I would absolutely be able to teach you how to do the front. So if something you think you need, something you think you can do, I've got that video. I'm working on that for you too. All right, have a great day. Highlighting is my #1 answer to how to transition out of the dark red or blonde color. Have a great day from your therapist.